My name is Christy. I go by Chris D. Lynn here on YouTube and on TikTok, and I'm in the middle of documenting my author journey because I'm writing a book. But something part of practice in writing is also reading, so I make these reading vlogs just to have fun, like I would be talking to a friend talking about these books I read. So with that said, I have a book I want to talk about. Let's get started. Okay, I have some explaining to do for a second. I usually like having a prop in my hands while I'm talking about it. So talking about the book so you guys have a visual of the book I'm reading. And I did that. I checked out These Hollow Hands by Lexi Ryan from the library, and I read it in like a week, which is my fastest way of reading because I'm so slow at reading. I'm dyslexic, a little neurodivergent, that kind of thing. But I was doing a reading vlog and I'd make like 5-minute clips of my progress of it, and it was so much fun. This book is a lot of fun. Thing is, I had a little bit of blonde moment yesterday when I was editing the video and trying to download it because I hit a memory snag in my computer and I had to like delete videos that I don't need because videos take up a lot of memory. Oh. So I had a blonde moment, got a little carried away, and deleted the videos for my vlog. Yeah, I did that. So now they're just gone. I don't have the book anymore because I returned it back to the library because I don't want to pay late fees. So I'm going to talk about this book, These Hollow Vows, as if I would a friend who has already read it. So this is going to be my spoiler review. And we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to tell you like from memory because I just finished this book. And yeah, let's see how that goes. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. So this book is like layered upon layered upon layered of plot. It's kind of like grouped together. So you have this happens and because this happens, and then this happens because this happens. But it's not linear. It's more like lumped up in a big, huge group. And so you get layers of different flavors. And it also feels like she picked and chose different modern day fantasy tropes that are really popular right now. For example, we have fae inside this book. We have court intrigue because there's the Seelie and the unseelie court. We have a love triangle. We have the chosen one trope, and then they go on MacGuffin quest because the main character Bree is a thief. So it's that kind of story, and it feels a lot like A Court of Thorn and Roses and A Curse So Dark and Lonely and just like these other really, really popular fantasy books. It is a dark fantasy. The world is pretty dark that they live in, but it's also kind of fun. Like it's cupcake, bubblegum, ice cream fun. Not fluffy fun, but more like we're in this, we're here for the drama and we're gonna go with it. So does that make sense? That makes sense? Okay, so the book starts out with our main girl, Abriella, which she goes by Bree. It happens a lot. All of these characters have long, really fancy fantasy names, but then they go by a really short name. And sometimes they have 3 or 4 names, and sometimes they only have 1 or 2. But basically what you need to know is our main character goes by Bree. And she's a thief, and she has a little bit of like shadow powers that she uses with her thievery. And she's thieving because her and her younger sister live with their aunt and their cousins. And it has like a Jane Eyre kind of vibe. But they have a contract with their aunt, and it's basically like their aunt is the slumlord making them pay rent. Like a really astronomical rent payment, and they live in the cellar of this fancy manor. And so Bree's been thieving so she can make these payments, but then she goes to visit a friend because she's just really tired of staying up all night after thieving from this really wealthy guy. She goes to visit a friend, and the friend's daughter, because they are also low on their rent payments, decided to go and make a bargain with this wealthy guy. And so Bree ends up giving her friend the money that she stole to pay off her daughter's new bargain to help her daughter. But that means like she's also in a pinch with her aunt. But she's like, you know what, I'll work it out later. So she goes, and then she goes back home to the cellar, and she finds out that her sister is a seamstress. She's making dresses, and she's so excited about this ball because the Fae court has announced that the prince needs to find a wife. So it's kind of like a Cinderella vibe. And then there's this mage apprentice neighbor named Sebastian. He comes over and they have a moment and they all talk, and he gets upset because he's like, don't go to that. I don't want you guys going to that. The fairy is dangerous. Please don't go there. And so he gets all upset and kind of leaves because these girls want to go to the ball. So Bree goes to go talk to Sebastian, which she calls Bash. And they have a cute little moment. They almost kiss. And then their cousin interrupts them and says, guess what happened? Mom just sold your sister to somebody. And then she gets so upset finding out her sister is just gone. She's not there anymore. And Bastion's like there to comfort her. And once there's a doggy outside, it's so cute. Once Bree realizes that she's gone, she turns her world upside down trying to find her sister. So she goes to, they have like house elves in the story, but it's not really house elves. They're more like, they're goblins, but they work like that in the world. It's like the messenger. So she makes a deal with the goblin, and the goblin wants some of her locks of hair because she has this gorgeous red hair. So the goblin tells her, oh yeah, your aunt sold your sister to the Unseelie King. Now the Unseelie King has a plot line. He is the brother of the true king, and the true king's gone missing. So he has usurped the throne, this Unseelie King. I can't remember his name. It starts with an M. So he's not true king, and he doesn't really have the throne yet because he needs 3 items that the Seelie court stole from the Unseelie court. And he wants Bree to get these items from the court that's, doing the balls to find a bride for the prince. Because she's a thief. He knows she's a thief. He wants her to find these items for him in order to get her sister back. She gets back to the human realm, finds out the guy that she stole from, this wealthy guy, has cops after her. So now she has no choice but to go to the ball. So she jumps the portal. She goes to the ball without, Sebastian told her not to, but she does it anyway. And then while she's there, she's trying to find another portal to get to the Unseelie. It's layers of action happening. And then she ends up finding the silver-eyed fairy. Now she's been warned by her mother's stories. Oh yeah, her mother abandoned them to their aunt when they were just kids. She was a good mom up until the moment she just left, which is important to the plot. So her mom always told them not to trust a fae with silver eyes. And so she runs into this guy who has silver eyes. And he's like, hey, you shouldn't be here. You're using your powers, which she didn't know she could use her powers like that. She doesn't realize she was using her powers. And so he has similar powers that she does. So he gets her out safely and basically says, I want to help you find these things. He's my uncle. I'm the true prince. I kind of want the same things he wants, but I want the throne. So I'm going to help you. And she's like, yeah, if you're an Unseelie, I don't trust you. And she ends up running away from him, and then she ends up finding Sebastian. And Sebastian's like, Bree, what are you doing here? And she's like, what are you doing here? And then she realized, oh, Sebastian has pointy ears. He's not human. And she's like, wait, are you fairy? And then there's this servant guy, another fae guy. It's like, Your Highness, your mom's looking for you. And he's like, in a minute. And she's like, wait a minute. And he's like, yeah, and then the guard's like, Prince Rowan, now. And he's like, wait a minute, you just gave away my cover. And so he has to admit right then and there, like, yep, I'm the prince that they're looking for a bride. That's me. And then she feels so betrayed by this moment that she goes back to this unseelie prince, the guy with the silver eyes. She goes back and finds him, and then she's just kind of torn apart. Things are happening quickly. I think at one moment she fights with Finn. Finn is the unseelie prince. I think his full name is like Finian, but he goes by Finn. So she ends up having a fight. She runs away, gets attacked by like a bear thing, and then she gets back to Sebastian in the unseelie court, and he's like, I know I betrayed your trust, but I really, now that you're here, I want to protect you. And the only way to do that is if you're a bride, one of these human brides in the, there needs to be 12. And then they like, it's kind of like a bachelor kind of thing, or 12 dancing princesses stuff. So she agrees to it, and I'm like, fine, I'll do this. Oh, that was a lot. And honestly, when I was reading that's like the first 8 chapters. I kind of wish things would slow down a minute, because there's just so much going on, and you kind of like, you blink and you miss it. It was a lot. So I wish it would slow down. And then the whole reveal that he was Prince. Yeah, sure, I kind of saw that coming. Bree's and Sebastian's relationship is very insta-love from the very beginning. You know, they love each other, but they can't be together for made-up reasons. So I kind of wish that was its book all on its own. And then, like, it was slowed down a little so that we could understand a bit more. But you know what? Action happens in this. Every page, there's like a page turner. Something happens, something happens, something happens. Which makes it fun and compelling and interesting. But it's like a lot to remember. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to take a break and come back to this in a minute. Okay. New location. Had to take a bit of a break. But let's continue. Okay. So when Bree was a kid, this important event happened. Her house caught on fire. It killed her father, and it almost killed her and her sister, but she kind of protected her sister in the fire, and so she was injured the most. And now she has like a scar on her wrist because of the fire. And that's also the day her mom ran away and disappeared. So now she hates Faye because her mom, after she knew the girls were okay, she had them live with her aunt, and then she runs away with this fairy she fell in love with and abandons her girls. So now she hates Fairy because of this. And so that's why when she found out Sebastian was the fairy prince, that's why she was so angry with him and why it felt like a betrayal. Okay, so that's kind of important backstory. This book is layered. There's just so many layers. Okay, so Bree is back at the Golden Palace. I'm going to turn on my AC. It's getting hot. So Bree is back at the Golden Palace, and Sebastian's trying to convince her to, like, I want to protect you. Because, oh gosh, I can't remember at what point she gets injured. She gets injured. And so he's like, I want to protect you, and the only way I know how to protect you here in Fairy, because Fairy is dangerous, is to keep you inside the Golden Palace. And so now you have to be one of the 12 brides. Like 12 dancing princesses. And we have to meet my mom. You have to meet my mom, the queen. Her name is Arya. And before they can do that, he glamours her scar away. And she's like, why is that important? And he's like, I'm afraid it is. Yeah, it is. So now she has the impression that Arya is just like a vain person and bit, ableist kind of thing. So they go in front of his mom, and she's like, and it gets all approved. Everything's fine. So now she's in the palace, which is a good thing because she needs these MacGuffin quests, right? And yeah. So now that she is one of the brides, she has a tutor. And the tutor is actually in disguise and works for Finn. So her name is Prithia. something like that. And so she'll take Bree out of the palace into this safe house that Finn has, so that she can learn magic through Finn and like be around him, gain his trust kind of stuff, and learn about how the Seelie and the Unseelie cords work, and, you know, help her find these MacGuffin quests, because that's what Finn wants. He wants to help her find it so he can gain back his throne. Okay, so the item she needs is a mirror. So she goes, she figures out where it is, but she can't get to it because it's in the queen's locked safe place. It's magic by wards, and so she can't even use her powers to get into it. She's not that strong yet. And so the only way to get to it is by a royal person. So she asks Sebastian, and Sebastian's like, okay, I'll let you do this. I will get this for you. So he gets the mirror for her. She gets the mirror. She looks in the mirror. She sees her sister, and her sister's fine and being well taken care of. So that gives her comfort. And like, Sebastian did it because he's trying to gain back Bree's trust. He really wants her to be the bride. Like, he's really in love with her, and he wants her to be the bride, and he's being really kind of a sweetheart at this point. But he is being a sweetheart. He's trying to gain her trust, and it's working for the most part. And then at the same time, Finn is teaching her how to use his powers, and so she's learning a little bit of this and that. She's also, like, at one point Finn gets injured and she has to help him, but he doesn't use his powers to heal himself. So that's interesting. And now remember, Finn is Unseelie, and the Unseelie are cursed, but she doesn't quite know what the curse is. It's kind of get a little messy and stuff, okay? So she's being torn between two places. Every night there's a ball going on with Sebastian. Sebastian has to go to these meetings. She doesn't know what the meetings are, and he won't tell her. So she kind of feels like he's keeping secrets from her, but she's keeping secrets from him. And finally one day he comes over and he says, I want you to be the bride. I want to marry you really, really badly. And she's like, I never wanted to be part of fairy. I never wanted to be part of this world. I never wanted to marry a prince. But you know what? I would have married Sebastian the mage in a heartbeat. And he's like, you can't have one without the other. I'm the same person. And she's like, yeah, I know, but there's the whole thing. She doesn't want to marry a fairy. And he's like, okay, fine. And it feels like the miscommunication trope. The only reason why they're not together is because of made-up reasons. And I didn't like that part because it's very insta-love. And I would rather they just kind of pursue their relationship instead of trying to not be together. But the only reason why that is because she's gaining feelings for Finn, and then she's keeping the secret from the MacGuffin stuff from him. So at one point, the king of the Unseelie comes back, and she gives the mirror to the king, and the king's like, yeah, I didn't want it. You can keep it. I just wanted you to prove that you could do it. So then he tells her, I need the grimoire. Oh, things are heating up at this point. So she's trying to find the grimoire, and it takes her a while to find it. She's like going to balls. Sebastian shows her the library because she thinks maybe it's in the library. They're going to balls. He's really trying to court her, trying to be like, I want you to be my bride. If anything, there's also like this bonding ceremony thing that he's really trying to pressure her into doing. One night, which was really, really funny, is they have a moment. They kiss, they have a steamy moment. She wants to be with him, but he won't be with her unless she agrees to be his bride, and they do the bonding. He really, that's what he wants. He wants her to be his bride, and then they do the bonding. And the bonding thing is like, it ties your life with his life, and because Fae are immortal and mortals are not, they could live longer kind of thing. But then there's also like this elixir of life that changes you into Fae. So it's a thing. It's a thing. But she doesn't want to do it because then that would, like, the bonding thing takes away your free will, and he can have complete control over her, and she doesn't want that. She's like, that doesn't sound like something I want. I'm kind of on her side with this. I agree with her. It kind of sounds romantic, but it also sounds like it could backfire. But he wants to do that, so he's being all nice. And then there's Finn. Finn's being super nice. He's doing like these rescue missions and these other political court things. One night, the after he gets injured, he gets a fever, and then one of the group guys comes and says, I have a tribute for you. And he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Just leave me alone. I'll get through this. It's just a fever. I'll get over it. I'll be fine. But then they're like, no, we want you to live. We don't want you to die. You're gonna do this. And the tribute actually volunteers. She really wants to help out. So Bree thinks it's kind of like a sexual kind of thing. So she leaves before she can get jealous because she's starting to have feelings for Finn. She catches them kissing. So that's a thing that happens. And then she goes back into Sebastian's arm and they have like a cute little lovey-dovey moment, and he's still trying to pressure her to be the bride and be bonded. This is what he really, really wants. So, you know, other stuff happens. She's looking for the grimoire. We're fast forwarding a little bit, and then there's this ball, and Sebastian and Bree have a moment, like a really sweet moment, but then the moment goes sour and they have a fight. So she uses her shadow powers to go and find him, and she finds that these meetings he's doing are actually with the other brides, and he's really thoroughly making out with another girl. So that breaks her heart. She gets all upset. And so she ends up going to the ball, and she ends up drinking fairy wine. And then Sebastian's right-hand man is there and keeps giving her wine to drink. And then it's like, why don't you go make up with Sebastian? Go do the bond. You know, it's what you want. And she's like, yeah, I want this. But then Prithia finds her there at the ball and notice that she's drugged. Like, this is not normal fairy wine. And she instantly takes her out of there and takes her to Finn. So Finn realized, oh yeah, she's drugged. It's kind of like where your inhibitions get loosened and stuff. And so he goes and puts her like fully clothed inside a cold shower, and she is trying to tempt him. Like, her feet temperature's high. It feels like a Wattpad werewolf moment where like the female's in heat, and the only way to get rid of it is to, you know, have a sensual moment. So she's really, really trying to tempt Finn, and she sees these tattoos on him because they're both fully clothed, but like his shirt was thin enough where if it got wet, she can now see his tattoos. And they have like an interesting conversation, and it was so funny to read. It was my favorite scene in the whole book. I loved it so much. So yeah, that happens. He doesn't end up, you know, succumbing to temptation because he was a good boy. And she gets over being drugged, and then when she's all clear, her head's all clear and stuff, Finn gives her like this elixir that's supposed to, if she ever gets drugged again, she can take it and it will negate that. So that was nice of Finn. I like Finn. Oh gosh, I need a break, and then we'll come back in a second because I gotta figure out where. So like I mentioned before, the story is layered upon layers of all of things, and it's starting to like unravel once you get near to the end, and things are starting to become clearer and like interesting. So Bree finds out where the grimoire is. It's in the Summer Palace, and she convinces Sebastian to go to the Summer Palace because this is what the king wants. And another thing that the king wants is the crown. Now, there's three predictions I had. The first prediction was that Bree's mom would be the wild fae queen, and the guy she ran away with would be the king. I wasn't right, but I was kind of close. We'll get into that in a second. The next prediction I had was that because this crown, this last item she needs to find, this crown thing is her. I had a prediction that she'd be the crown, because everybody seems to be after her and wanting things from her, and the way her powers work, it just kind of, I predicted that pretty early on in the story. The next thing I predicted was that Finn and Sebastian might be related somehow. These were things I was picking up on, and we'll get into that in a second. So let's do the backstory, and let me because there's stuff going on in the history of this plot, and the characters are all connected because this story is layered, you guys. So let's talk about that. So let's talk about Sebastian's mom, Arya, and then Finn's father, which I think his name was Orbian or something like that. Anyway, when they were younger, they were in love, but because their kingdoms were at war, they couldn't be together. So they found a way to be together in the mortal realm. And they did that. They were happy together for a while. But her parents got so mad that they drag her back, and then they close up all the portals. So now Orbian's trapped in the mortal realm. And when Arya finally gets the portals back up, she didn't go find Orbian. He's like, yeah, I'm in love with somebody else, and I want nothing to do with you. That somebody else happened to be Bree's mother. So there's some back drama with that. Okay, so Arya gets so angry. She curses the Unseelie. So part of this is the bonding thing. The bonding stuff ends up being really important. Spoilers, you guys. I'm talking about spoilers because at this point we've things started to unravel and it all kinds come clear, okay? So the bonding thing is very important, and because Arya was so mad, she curses the Unseelie that if they ever bond with a mortal, that mortal's going to die. And also they kind of need to do the bonding. Otherwise their powers are nuked. Like they are mortal. Like their powers won't work if they don't do the bonding. Which is why Prithia's husband, it sounds like he never really did the bonding thing. So he never used his powers, and that's kind of how he died. It was through a freak accident. And yeah, because without their powers, they're immortal. But to gain their powers, they need to do the bonding ceremony, but that will kill the mortals. If that makes sense. And that's kind of why Finn doesn't use his powers either. So there was that detail. And in order to make this curse, Arya had to tie her life force to the grimoire. Does that make sense? That's why the Unseelie King wants the grimoire. So you know, shenanigans happen, things all come together, everything kind of happens. And Bree and Sebastian are at the summer court, or at the summer palace, okay? And she finds the grimoire, and then she's learning more details about this and that and how the curse works and stuff. And she ends up stealing the grimoire and going back to the Unseelie King so that she can get her sister back. Because in order for him to take the throne, he needs all three items together in the same room. So she has the mirror, she has the grimoire, but she doesn't quite have the crown yet. But the king knows that she's the crown. She is the crown. I was right about that. I was wrong about her mom being the wild fae queen, but we'll get to that in a second. So she is the crown. And the reason for this is because when she was in the fire, when she was a kid, her mom used this magical item that Orban gave her. Like, it was all this, use in case of emergencies and I'll come right to you. So when her kids died, because Orban left because of reasons after they fell in love. And so she lived a life, she fell in love again. And that's how she had Bree and her sister Jas. But once the fire happened, she calls Orbian and uses this in case of emergency thing. So he uses his powers to heal Jas because she was easy to heal. Bree wasn't so easy to heal. So what he did instead is he gave her the crown. By giving her the crown, it gave her new life. So like technically she died in that fire, or was about to die. Like her life was so close to being gone. So he was able to use the crown by giving her the crown and gave her a new life. So she is the crown. So the Unseelie King, he wants to, the bad guy, the one we don't like, he starts drugging Bree, because now that he has these two items and her in the same room, he starts drugging her, so that, like happened before, so that he can perform the bond with her, because that kind of has to be like a willing thing, but when their inhibitions are gone, it's a loophole thingamabob. So he's gonna drug her, kill her, take the crown. But because Finn gave her this this elixir, she was able to notice that she was about to be drugged, drinks it without the king noticing, and then she tricks him because she finds out in that moment she's the crown. So she sits on the throne. He can't sit on the throne. Only person who is the crown can. Wears the crown can. So she sits on it, breaks the curse, well, breaks the spell thing, and then Sebastian gave her a dagger to kill Finn, pretty much, because he didn't trust him. But she uses the dagger to kill the king. And then she gets her sister back, finds out that the mirror was lying to her that her sister was safe. And then, things kind of come to a head. She finds Finn. She actually finds out that Finn has been doing the bonding stuff with mortals. Like the whole tribute situation when he had a fever, he bonded with her and she died so that he could regain his powers. I mean, she volunteered for it, fully knowing what was going to happen. So in some ways, like, is he the bad guy because he's cursed? He has to do this in order to use his powers, or should he just not do it at all? So she's kind of mad. She feels betrayed. And so Finn, he's like, yeah, this is the truth. And you're the crown. I knew you were the crown like 2 years ago after I think something happened to her mom. Part of the reason why her mom left was to protect her, because what Orbian did, she knew that, oh, they're going to be after her. She was so young, so little. So she left her sisters her and her sister so that she could protect Bree. And after a while that ran out. So yeah, Finn knew about it. Finn knew that she was the crown the whole time. That's how she gains her powers. And so she gets mad. She feels like Finn betrayed her by not telling her these secrets. Like, she should have been prepared before it all happened. So she goes running back into Sebastian's arms. And this is kind of where it all sort of ends. And so she comes to the realization that if she's the crown, she's going, they get her sister to safety. And she's back in the human realm. And Sebastian's kind of there to help her as moral support. He's being the nice boyfriend kind of stuff. And so Jess is safe with her friend from the very beginning of the book. But Bree realized she's not safe in the mortal realm, so she needs to go back with Sebastian. She goes back to Sebastian, agrees to marry him. And then she realizes that I'm going to be chased after my whole life. I think because Sebastian really wants to bond with her. So she agrees to the bond because it makes sense to her in that moment that to have somebody she loves protect her. She agrees to bond with Sebastian. So they do the bonding ceremony. And it's cute, it's sweet, it's adorable. But right after the bond takes hold, she starts feeling funny. She starts feeling awful. She's starting to die. And Sebastian was ready for this. Oh, he was so ready. So what he does is he gives her this elixir of life and convinces her to take it. You have to take this or you're gonna die. Take it now. Now. We have no time. So she takes it, and then she changes into Fae. And the changing process takes a while. Takes a long while. So then she has a dream with Finn, and then they have a cute little tender dreaming moment. Because now he knows that, oh yeah, she's fairy. And I just lost this game I was trying to play. But he doesn't tell her that. And they have like a little sweet closure moment. So when she wakes up, everybody's all, oh, we gotta go get Sebastian. Like, he's gonna want to see her. And she wakes up, she's now a fairy, and everyone's talking about this coronation that's about to happen. And she's like, what coronation? And they're like, oh yeah, Sebastian's gonna become king of the Unseelie court because he is half siblings to Finn because of, you know, past reasons. He's half Unseelie. That's why she died. He's been lying to her the whole time. He knew she was the crown from the very beginning. And that's why he wanted to bond with her, because he didn't want her. He wanted the crown. I think in the process, he did genuinely start caring for her, which is the same for Finn. Like, it was just, oh my gosh. It ended on that cliffhanger. I am so mad at Sebastian at this moment. I need to get my hands on book 2 because I want to know what else happens. I have a suspicion, because she can still use her powers. I think the crown might be meaningless because, like, when it gave her new life, all of the powers, all of the stuff, all of it, the meaningful magic transferred to her. So now the crown is just like a worthless object. But Sebastian has the crown. He is now bonded to Bree, and he can control her even as fairy. So, yeah. Oh, this book is so much fun. I do recommend that you read it. Thanks for watching my video this far. I know it was kind of like random thoughts got in the way, but I had to talk about it. I had to talk about it. That was fun. I'm gonna get my hands on the next book somehow, and we'll talk about it again. Hopefully this time my vlog video for that book will work. But yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for this, and we'll talk later. Okay, bye.